Hold on for a second. What's up, YouTube family? I would like you guys to make sure you like and subscribe to our video. It would help us get into the algorithms so we can be seen and bring more engaging content to you guys. So like I said, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Appreciate you. And welcome to another edition of the Pick and Downs podcast. I'm your host, per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zhu and Peebush. How you fellas doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm out here in the Charlotte area for the week. Heading back. Got a nice early flight tomorrow. But, man, we got plans starting today, man. Hawks Magic on as we speak with the Grizzlies and Warriors coming up. It's already that time, man. We went from March Madness, right, with only a week in between. And we got a great Masters. Shout out to Rory McIlroy, man, for his first Masters win, and he finally got the Grand Slam of his career. He's finally won all 4 majors in his career. Big feat, awesome. Big feat. Only 6 other players have ever done that.
Who?
Rory McIlroy, man.
Come on, man. You know Rory at least.
I don't know who Rory McIlroy is, man. I don't not know. Okay, man. He hits a ball, Masters 4, whatever. We talking basketball, man. We're talking good for him. Good for him. He's trying to be Tiger down there. Good for him. Good for this Rory guy. But the NBA play.
NBA today.
NBA play it started. I'm excited because my team's in it. So that's exciting to see. At least one more basketball game. At least one more.
Oh, my God.
Worst is the last game and then the lottery in one day. So maybe one more game or maybe a couple more games. That's the beauty of the play-in tournament because you never know how long you can play, especially with the Miami hit. He did that one year. You go from the play-in to the finals.
True.
Like that's pretty legendary. So who knows what happens.
Somebody brought up the point that and we're going to talk about Golden State coming up, but it kind of does suck anytime the play-in happens when a legendary star ends up in it. Like, I don't mind it when it's like the Orlando's, Atlanta's, or teams like that, because it's like they're building with their franchise and their stars are young. But anytime we get like a legendary star in the play-in, it kind of sucks because there is a possibility that they won't make it to the playoffs. So hopefully the basketball gods push those guys through, and maybe if there's a couple calls that don't go a certain way with certain guys, it just happens because hey, Steph Curry and those type of guys, they sell. So speaking of the play-in, like you said, we're currently in the midst of Orlando and Atlanta, and it looks like Orlando's kind of taking care of business, but we'll see. Still a lot of game to go. But I wanted to get the guys' thoughts on the other play-in matchups, and Peebush, what do you got your eyes on?
Yeah, man. I mean, we got the later game tonight. Obviously, as you mentioned, Steph Curry, we have to watch him do the play-in. I wish he hadn't, but it is what it is, man. It's one of those, I think people were talking about a Harrison Barnes game winner kind of affected the playoffs at the end.
It was an amazing shot. I don't even saw it. It was an amazing shot.
It was an amazing shot. You know what that reminded me of, though, is when Anthony Davis ruined with that play-in back in 2015. He hit that game-winning shot over the Thunder, and I think it knocked them out of the playoffs at that point. But it all depends, man. We always talk about how the NBA regular season doesn't matter, but there's always going to be 1 or 2 games that end up affecting playoff seeding, and especially to Zoo's point, you got to go to the play-in, man. You have to potentially win 2 games if you're a 9 or 10 seed. And looking in the West this year, they finally have some sub-500 teams that are in the play-in for the first time. So, you got the Kings and the Mavs there. But, with the Warriors and the Grizzlies, man, you guys know I'm a big Ja Morant fan. I think he's a great point guard. Talk about his off the court or on the court / off the court
shenanigans. I call them shenanigans. They're not a big deal, but they're shenanigans that give you a headache.
Just antics, right? He's just causing headaches, right? We got the whole Taylor Jenkins situation, which kind of threw us off even before the Mike Malone situation in Denver. I think the Grizzlies are just figuring it out. They actually had one of the best offenses this year. Jaren Jackson Jr. quietly putting up in a great season, probably the best season of his career so far. But man, I can't go against Steph Curry in a one and done potential. Or obviously in this situation, they would have a redemption game, but being able to lock yourself in immediately with just the first win. Not only do they have Steph Curry, but they got playoff Jimmy Butler, man. I mean, come on. It's an easy pickings for me. I'm going with the Warriors there to lock up the 7 seed. And that'll be a very interesting matchup against the Rockets. So kind of breezing through to today's. I did have the Magic. They're up 17 as we speak right now in the second quarter. To lock in the 7th seed in the East. But then we got the games tomorrow, man, the 9-10s. Kings Mavs. Oof, what an ugly game, man. I mean, just
who cares?
Who cares? I'm not, I hate to say it, but I'm kind of locking the Kings into this one. Yeah, I just think
they should win.
They should win. I mean,
the other team is derailed by injuries.
Yeah, derailed by injuries, youth, inexperience, whatever you want to talk about.
The worst GM in the history of basketball.
There you go, worst GM in the history of basketball. There, you heard it from right there. But I also think the Kings, they just have better playmakers, right? They can score the ball. Obviously, they could have off nights. Zoo and I are very familiar with DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine's game, but they also got Sabonis there too. So I'm going to take the Kings to get redemption and force themselves into a game against the Grizzlies. But I do have the Grizzlies locking up the 8 seed if it comes down to those two. And even if it comes down to the Mavs as well, I still got the Grizzlies there. So I'll take the 7-8 seed kind of as is in the West. And looking over on the East side, man, we got the 9-10 matchup with the Bulls and the Heat. I'm getting PTSD from a couple of years ago. Deja vu. But
they're in there a lot.
There's no playoff Jimmy there, though, now, man. We got to deal with Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero, he ain't playing the hero against the Bulls, though, man. I got the Bulls locked up that game. Curious to see how Josh Giddey is playing. I know he hurt that wrist, banged it up a little bit. Injured. I think he's probable to play from what I've been hearing. He'll play. But yeah, I believe in Kobe White. I think their guard play is just it's gonna keep up with the Miami Heat. Sorry, Heat, you guys have had a great run the last couple of years, man. But this is the first year I'm getting off the bandwagon, and it has to do with your boy JB going up to the San Francisco area. So give me the Bulls, and I actually like the Bulls taking on the Hawks to lock up the 8 seed and then eventually get swept by the Cavs. So interesting. Locked up, man. I think it's kind of playing out, but the Hawks are also another team that's extremely banged up, like very banged up, and Capella's still out, and etc. And Trae Young, man, he just has those games. Maybe he gives the Bulls 40. Maybe he does.
He needs to.
He needs to, and I just don't see it. I think the Bulls have just a better flow of offense.
Yeah, I think they match up well, especially with their bigger guards on there. Yep. But I'm going to start with the hometown team, the Chicago Bulls, right now.
There you go.
This is a team that we thought were tanking. We were tanking. Like, they legitimately traded away all their major players outside of Nikola Vucevic, and pretty much they punted Vucevic too because they don't run the offense in him no more. They went from Vucevic as the go-to option, and he was 20-10. But he's one of those 20-10 and no W's. That's how it works. 20-10 and no W's. So they pivoted the entire offense into young guys and Josh Giddey, Mr. Triple-Double himself right now. Like, he's the engine of this roster. He's the absolute engine of this roster. And the Bulls are going to go as far as Josh Giddey goes. So it might not be that far. It may not be that far, but this Miami Heat team, the minute they traded away Jimmy Butler, it was absolutely over. Because I know people say Eric Spoelstra is a good coach. I'm like, okay, he's a good coach. But that roster, when Tyler Hero is your best player, like, he was the all-star this year, right? He's the all-star. And you see, I don't know if you guys remember that game. They were down against the Bulls. Open, fast break. Could have had a layup. He pulled up for 3. Like, if that's your best player, do you know what that shows? Low IQ. Stupid. Dodo bird action. Like, you can't have your best player showing low IQ like that. Like, I think Bam's a really nice complimentary guy, but he ain't no alpha. He's a nice beta defensive guy, and he could be a playmaker and a rebounder defender. He's the do-it-all type of player but he's not the alpha on not even a good roster. He's the second best player. So if Tyler Hero is your go-to guy and he's got an IQ of a dodo bird, you ain't going that far. So yes, I got the Bulls knocking them out. Got the Bulls absolutely knocking them out, and they should knock them out based on especially the momentum. I know the end of the year pretty strong. A lot of other teams stopped trying, but this Bulls have a lot of positive momentum. And this will be classic Bulls, man, because they're going to win one game and they're going to lose the next. That's what's going to happen. That's what I feel. That's what I feel. That's what I feel like. Like, obviously, depending like Atlanta, Orlando, obviously right now, Orlando is absolutely doing a butt whooping. So I'm going to have an assumption that Orlando is going to take care of business. The team's getting a little healthier now. That was the biggest reason that Orlando struggled. Like, they lost Franz Wagner, they lost Paolo Banchero for a lot of games. Like, they lost Jalen Suggs. Like, they've lost a lot of really good players for a lot of games. So like, on paper, like, when they're all healthy relatively, they should get it done. And as you mentioned, this Atlanta Hawks team is a team that went kind of like a mini rebuild, trading away DeJounte Murray, went with a youth movement, like a Zach Leach. You got Dyson Daniels, who was in competition for DPOI this year because the dude averaged like 3 steals a game, which is actually a ridiculous number. Like, they were to flip DeJounte for Dyson Daniels, who's a young defender, and picks. that was a heist that they got against the New Orleans Pelicans. There's a reason why David Griffin lost his job. It was probably because of that trade. Because they traded away a potential DPOY for a guy that DeJounte Murray put some nice numbers, not a winning guy. Nope. You've seen him in multiple situations. San Antonio punted him. Atlanta punted him. And you see the Pelicans dead last. Obviously, he got injured, but he wasn't part of the solution of them winning more games. So
like Levine, Zoo. He's on that Levine category.
Yeah, he's on that tier where the numbers are nice, like 20 points a game. He's a solid playmaker, solid rebounder, pretty good defender, but he ain't a W guy. So he's just that third level star where if you pay him a max, you're winning 0 championships. But for them, the Atlanta Hawks, like for me, the Bulls, I just feel like this team making the playoffs, that's a fool's dream to me, man. Like winning back, like I want to see it because they're already out of the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. So like, might as well just make the playoffs and give some playoff experience because I think that accelerates growth, and especially Bulls zealous right now because Matas is one of those guys where he got some upside. 6'10", 210. He's skin and bones right now, but he can handle it. He has a nice jump shot. He's a good defender. He's a two-way guy. And, man, he's from Chicago, and he wants to be playing for the Chicago Bulls. So, right now, for me personally, that is the number one project right there. Matas Buzelis and developing him. Giddey right now is the engine, but that's got to be the dynamic duo. And, obviously, Kobe White's a nice two-guard that could get buckets right now. So, for me personally, it's all about development right now. And if you beat the Hawks, like, I love all my players, but Ice Trae is the best player in the series.
Yes.
And Trae Young, in some of these moments, like he might not win it, but he has those moments, especially in the clutch. If he's go 1v1 top of the key for a 3 for the win, I'm nervous. I'm very nervous because he is very comfortable shooting that type of shot. He has made a lot of big shots in the play-in tournament as well as the playoffs. So Ice Trae, I'm going to give them a nod just because they're both young rosters. And for me, I'm just like, and Giddey coming a little hamper. So if he's not producing at 100%, dropping triple doubles, I don't think they have a single chance of getting it done and making the playoffs. So I do got Atlanta knocking them out in the play-in tournament round 2 because I feel like the Bulls they're just one of those cute stories are, we won like all these games at the end of the year when the games don't matter pretty much anymore. Like March through April, we're freaking a playoff level team in those games. But for me personally, this is where the end runs. They're going to win one play-in game. It's just a classic Bulls scenario. I've seen this for many years. Many years, and I'm a little like I still remember that game against Toronto. Yeah, I still remember those games against Toronto. Like, what a big win! And then, cute story. It ends in like despair. You playing against the Grizzlies team? They ain't no trash team. They got 48 wins. Think about that. The 8 seed got 48 wins. So for me, they're actually playing a legitimately good roster. Where, as you mentioned, Jaren Jackson's taking a step. He's actually playing. He's healthy now. Your boy Ja is healthy, actually. He's playing.
Yeah, unlike Zion.
Yeah, Zion's getting held out by
traded.
Zion's getting held out.
He's got the whole offseason, man. Don't worry.
Yeah, I still believe in Zion. But John Morant, Desmond Bane, it's an interesting roster. Like, I remember a couple of years ago, we're like, wow, this is the next up-and-coming Western Conference team that makes that step to become a potential future contender. The problem with this team is they're just banged by injuries every single year.
Yep.
Every single year. And obviously they fired the coach. I'm just like, I don't know I still don't know what that's about. It's some GM, like head coach beef. We've seen that go around in the NBA, like a personal relationship. They don't have the best relationship. Even though I think he's done a terrific job for a team that Ja's missed a lot of games this year. He's missed a lot of games again this year. But relatively right now, the team is relatively healthy. So they should definitely make it out, like not beat the Warriors because the Warriors got Jimmy Buckets. And when you see Jimmy Buckets try a game, you saw that Clippers game. He actually tried because that's when Jimmy Butler scores 30 points. Because mostly games in the regular season, he's
15,
very passive.
17.
He gained 15 points. He's getting a couple of dimes, rebounding the ball, playing defense. He's just like kind of a do-it-all type, like complimentary player. But in the playoffs, that's when Jimmy Buckets goes bucket mode. So like for a single game elimination at home, they're probably mad of losing to the San Antonio Spurs and the Clippers and pretty much
unforgivable.
The San Antonio Spurs is very unforgivable.
That's unforgivable.
No Wembanyama, no De'Aaron Fox. But yeah, the Clippers was a legit, and that was that was a 50-50 type game. Like who knows if Draymond Green actually makes a layup? Like who knows what happens the rest of that game?
Well, if you stop foul baiting, you make the layup. They never in that position.
Oh, exactly. So they were 50-50 against a really good Clippers team that they were also playing for their playoff lives too. So we've seen how elite this Golden State Warrior team, because I think that tier from 2 to 7, same tier. It's the same tier. They're on the same caliber.
Anybody can win them.
There's not really that much difference. Like, a difference of, especially from the 3 to 7 seed. That's 2 games. Obviously, the Rockets got a couple more wins, but I think they're still the same tier. So Golden State, Memphis, take care of business.
I mean, sticking on the West, Golden State had that felt like a playing game. The Golden State LA game.
Yeah.
It just kind of felt like Harden was in his bag. Kawhi was in his bag, Jimmy, Steph, even though Steph had those 2 late turnovers, he was making threes to kind of offset it. But, I think with Golden State, obviously Steph is going to get his. He's going to do what he do. But the key is going to be Jimmy. I am wondering, he's going to play, but I am wondering how that little injury he had towards the end of the game, if that affects him at all in terms of his aggressiveness. Because, it was a huge collision with Kawhi. So, I haven't seen any reports saying he's not going to play, but obviously, his leg could probably be halfway off and he's still going to play because it's Jimmy Butler, but just how effective is he going to be? And not for nothing, Memphis, even though Golden State ended up winning that series against them and, they kind of, I don't say own Memphis, but they kind of know this is a little bit of our little bro. Like they see them as their little brother. Ja is the type of person where I think he obviously is defiant, but when it comes to playing Golden State, I think he has a little bit of a different gear just because of the history. And I know a lot of that is with Dylan Brooks, whatever. He's not there anymore, but I still think that team as a whole looks at Golden State as I think we can hang with these guys. And Golden State in the last, I think, 3 playing games is 0-3. Like they haven't been an automatic to win playing games. So to me, that speaks to, I don't know. I know Jimmy's there and it's different, but Steph Curry's not chopped liver and he was in those games before and they haven't won it. And I want to say Memphis actually may have beat them in a playing year. I'm not sure.
In one of them.
Yeah, 1 year.
So there won't be any fear from Memphis at all. And I think the way that I think Golden State can win is Jimmy Butler needs to be aggressive early. None of this wait until the second and third and cutting it on because Memphis get on top of you. You might not be able to come back, especially if Ja gets it going. And Jaren Jackson is a dog, like Zhu said. So that'll be interesting. Like I said, personally, I want Golden State to get in because I want to see them versus Houston, but wouldn't be shocked if Memphis got them because they're not going to be scared. And like I said, I don't really care about the Kings and Mavs. Whoever wins that wins it. Who cares? Like I said, both of those teams are kind of in a – it feels like they're in the play-in because they had to be there, but they rather would just be either tanking more or just ready to start their offseason, so it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Yeah, with the East, like I said, Orlando, we kind of saw this coming, so it's really not much to comment on that. I think with the Bulls and Heat, I do think the Bulls are a better team. I think it's going to be kind of hard for someone like Tyler Herro to carry. If you want to maybe argue for them, you could say they've been battle tested. They've been in longer playoff, series. They've been in more battles. So some could argue like that could be valuable in a situation like this. It just sometimes comes down to how much do you trust Bam and Tyler Herro to carry you? And I think Tyler Herro can get hot for sure. Like he can go on a spurt where he can hit 3 or 4 threes in a row and Bam can get some offensive rebounds. He can go ham. But relying on those 2 guys, and then I guess who is your next option after those 2? Jaime Jaquez or Khalil Ware. Yeah. Khalil Ware is a rookie, and Jaime Jaquez is Jaime Jaquez is who he is. He's he's a nice wing. He's not like extraordinary. So it's if you're picking the Heat, it's going to be because of experience. That's just it. And like you said, if you're a Bulls fan, you've been kind of stuck in this same situation for the last couple of years. You need to get into the playoffs and get some experience because it's not going to do you well if you win this one and like Zeus said, you lay egg in the next one. You just don't want to keep that same cycle. You don't want that cycle. Yeah. So it's like
it would just confirm what we thought too.
Like it might end up like if I'm not gonna lie, if I had to place money on like what scenario happens, I probably would like base money on that. I agree with you guys. They're probably gonna beat this Heat team, then they're gonna lose to probably Trey. Because like you said, especially like the only way you don't lose against Trey is if you like how Orlando's doing to Atlanta now. You gotta blitz them. Like you just gotta be so far ahead where it's like Trey can't get it. His magic of being close and clutch moments is not going to matter because he's down 15 or 20. So people with all that being said, what upsets, like you said, West or East doesn't matter. Can you potentially see? And I kind of have a feeling where you're going to go, but I like to
Well,
hear
I'll
your
preface a
answer.
couple. I mean, we talk about the Warriors. I think the Warriors could beat the Rockets in a series. Obviously, you guys were talking about Jimmy, health. Of course, obviously, just due to their inexperience, right? That's the one that kind of there are two that jumped out of the page to me. It's on the west side, it's that one. On the east side, it's the Pistons, who a team that we all kind of like. They're
getting a little action.
They're pretty much the East Coast, just the Eastern Conference version of like the Grizzlies a couple years ago, right? Not when they were holding the number 1 seed, right? But kind of on that rise.
Seed.
Yeah, exactly. When they were the 8 seed, that's an 8 seed in the West Zoo is equivalent to at least a 5 or 6 seed.
Yeah, it actually is.
So,
the modern game.
You can make that comparison there, but I do like them. Obviously, it's really going to come down to the Knicks, but as Zoo's kind of usual mechanism is, I'm going to take the best player on the floor in that series, and that's for sure Jalen Brunson. So I can't really pick them wholeheartedly against the Knicks. So then it comes down to 2, man. Clippers taking on the Nuggets. That could be very interesting. That is the series. That's the series I'm most excited to watch. I think that's going to be one of the more exciting series to watch. Zubac has been an absolute monster this year. I mean, he's putting up like 20 points with 20 rebounds. I mean, he's no scrub, so Jokic is going to have fun. But got to go with the Milwaukee Bucks and the Indiana Pacers, man. I'm taking the Bucks. I know it's a 4-5. You can call that a cheapskate, upset, but it really is, especially with the Lillard uncertainty. There was obviously the report yesterday and today regarding, he's trending in the right direction, right? He's been taking blood thinners. And, you don't want to rush that, right? This is something that is very serious to your health. It reminds me a little bit of like the whole Chris Bosh situation towards the end of his career, right? With his blood clot issues. I mean, Lillard is no young buck anymore, man, pun intended. He's 34 years old. So this is kind of his last chance, maybe this year and next year, depending on how this pans out, to really make a push. But let's be honest, man, this Bucks team is no slouch even without him. The Pacers, of all like the solid playoff teams, they just they still remind me of a bit of a cute story. I don't know. I can't see them winning anything major at this point. I know they made it pretty far and exceeded expectations last year, and that is good to Zoo's point.
Due to injuries to the Knicks, there was a lot of significant injuries at the end of that series, and they were able to make it to the conference finals.
You're right. But
just like that Atlanta run, very similar.
Very similar to the Atlanta
Nobody expected it.
Nobody expected it. So, it's Heat run as well, very similar, but the Heat were more successful in the end. So, for me, I just think the Bucks, they have the experience. Giannis is completely unguardable. You can say Miles Turner or any other guy on the Pacers is going to give him a hard time. I don't believe that for a second, even if you are a diehard Pacers fan. I'm sorry to tell you that he is going to get his. Brook Lopez, we still know what he can do, man. He's kind of been an ageless wonder, gracefully ending his career in his late 30s. So, yeah, man, I just like the Bucks. I think Giannis is just the best player on the floor there. Tyrese has his moments. But, man, once again, give me the best player. It's a 5 beating a 4, not huge. But I also really want to see the Bucks play the Cavs. I said that weeks ago. I said that could be one of the only big matchup difficulties for the Cavaliers, who have been rolling this year. Man, I would not want to be facing Giannis across the court. Let's just be honest. As any team, it does not matter how good you are. He is one of those players similar to a Jokic or a LeBron, maybe not now, but years ago. They can wreck games, and I do not want to be facing them no matter what team I am. So maybe that's wishful thinking, wishing for that second round matchup, but I am going to take the Bucks in a 6 or 7 game series against the Pacers.
Yeah.
I hope so. Like we haven't seen Giannis play a lot of games in the playoffs because he's been injured. Like we haven't seen a full Giannis, like healthy Giannis for multiple, like finishing an entire series for many, many years ago. Ever since that legendary series against the Boston Celtics, that was the last time we saw like Giannis at his absolute peak. But after that, he's just been rattled by injuries, and his team hasn't done much. So yeah, I'm definitely rooting for Giannis, especially with potentially Lillard not being 100%. He's definitely not going to be conditioned 100%. He's going to be out of shape from just missing that many games.
And if they make the second round, make the second round and he's been cleared at some point in the first round, I think he for sure plays. He could even return towards the latter half of a first-round matchup if it makes that game 6 or 7. But to your point, too, they need to give him a game to get his legs back
100%. Especially in the playoffs where the intensity is way higher and defensive pressure is way tougher.
Yep.
So, absolutely. Like, I like that with the Giannis pick. But personally, I mentioned this year. You mentioned the series. The Nuggets Clippers, man. And you know me. Like, I'm a guy. I'm a Jokic. I don't know if it's a religion, but I love Jokic, man. This is the best player in the league for the last, I would say, 4 to 5 years. We're seeing like this is peak domination at the level that it was LeBron. It was LeBron's era. It was Kobe's era. This is Jokic's era right now, which is crazy to say because like he obviously LeBron, LeBron aging down. Like, we saw some MVPs that were given sympathy MVP, aka Joel Embiid, and we see all that story and what worked out. Giannis is more of an injury situation of him. Obviously, now Shea probably this year's gonna be MVP just because Jokic got too many. So I wanted to spread the love. They want to spread the love. Like even like SJ's dad's like he went on a podcast like Gilbert Arenas podcast like just let us have one. Like, he pretty much said like. Just because Jokic won previous ones, like just let us have one. Like let SGA have one, and let's see next year and see. Let's battle up for who gets MVP. I'm like, okay, I know people want to be sentimental, be like, SGA deserves it. Okay, I'm objective.
Yeah.
The MVPs in the past don't affect the MVPs right now. It's this year's MVP. Previous year one, that should have zero factor. And you picking the award.
You know what happens in the MVP award.
I know it does. I know human psychology, but
especially in the NBA of all sports, it happens. It's just.
But objectively, there's a lot of unobjective things about the MVP award. It's this year's MVP award. So Jokic for me is an all-time player, but right now this Clippers team is scary. It's very, very scary, and the main reason why is Kawhi Leonard is healthy for once. Yep. And that could change any day. He could drop 45 points in game 1 and miss the rest of the series. So that is the big question mark. But if you're looking at Kawhi Leonard right now, who is 100% healthy, you got a guy in James Harden where James Harden and Kawhi Leonard fit perfectly. Kawhi Leonard needs a point guard, and that's what James Harden is. James Harden is a point guard where he could defer to Kawhi as the closer because we all seen James try to close for the 76ers. An embarrassment. You got 2 non-closers in Joel Embiid and James Harden. That didn't work out. You got Kawhi Leonard. This guy's a closer. Like, especially with his jump shot. His jump shot is looking real nice right now the last couple games. Like, he is getting back to that Toronto form where, this guy's probably one of the 2 best players in the world right now. So you got a healthy Kawhi currently. James Harden is the point. And him and Zubac's pick and roll game, as you mentioned, Big Zoo.
Yeah.
James Harden has an ability to elevate the center position like no other point guard because of his pick and roll game. Like, he is a pick and roll genius. Like, he makes from Clip Capella's to any rim running center. Yeah, Dwight Howard. Like he's got a lot. He just makes rim running centers successful and mainly because of his pick and roll IQ. Like, and Zubac, he actually played. He's one of the few players that plays Jokic tough.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm very, very like when I see that like Jokic field goal percentage drops substantially matchup against Big Zoo. I'm like, ooh, matchup wise, and James Harden as a high pick and roll guy. I love Jokic, but he ain't no high pick and roll defender. Like he ain't gonna do much. If James Harden gets him on an island, the high pick and roll, he's giving him a lot of space for that step back 3. And Harden has those games where when his threes drop, he has the ability to drop 40 any night. Like I think he's a pretty streaky shooter, but when he goes, he's gonna have 1 or 2 of those games. He drops 40. I'm like, ooh, that's gonna be tough. So and he got some nice complementary players in Norman Powell and like the rest of the roster. I think is really, really strong. They've done really well post bye PG. We don't need you, and pretty much they got rid of PG for nothing. And their nothing was just cap flexibility. They got cap flexibility.
Yeah, that's
great. We built the roster with a couple of role players, and pretty much they're looking awesome right now. Especially at the end of the year, their record is similar to the Boston Celtics and the OKC Thunder. Yep. So like this team is playing extremely well. I'm playing extremely well, and I have money. And right now they're dogs. Vegas, they're dogs.
I was gonna say. Here's
I think it's a 50-50 series, and you got them as dogs. I'm picking the Clippers to beat the Nuggets, man. I'm picking the Clippers to beat the Nuggets.
Let me make this point because some people, if you've been listening since at least last NBA season, everyone remembers that last year the missing piece for the Clippers was Russell Westbrook. Okay. You remember that? And then the Clippers went on, and then they faltered and they didn't do well. Right, blah, blah.
Okay. It was injuries.
No.
Got injured.
I agree. No, but hear me out. Then you start at the beginning of this season, and you go, the Denver Nuggets got their missing piece, Russell Westbrook, and now you're picking the team that lost Westbrook and is doing better over the team that got Westbrook, and they were both your back-to-back finals predictions at the beginning of the season. That is ironic, and that shows that Russell
Very
Westbrook
ironic.
is not a basketball player. I'm taking the Clippers because of that.
I can't believe that line hasn't moved at all. I don't know what – I know maybe they're just overvaluing –
Dude,
like
it's the greatest
what the Clippers did. I don't know. Yeah, it is because of Jokic, but it's like if you've been watching the Clippers have been one of the best two teams in the West since whenever they started or whatever.
Yeah, I think
maybe they just real quick. You can get the Clippers series betting is -118. The Nuggets are +100.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the odds.
Okay, and then that makes sense.
The odds swung
because it's just like, dude, if you
the Sharks are on the Clippers, so they're gonna move the lines.
Wow,
smart. I mean,
the odds really moved.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
They have everything. They literally have everything you want in a playoff basketball team. They have guys who have been there. They got their rim running center. They got Harden, who everyone knows in this stage of his career, not when he was prime Houston, but at this stage of his career, he's better when he has an alpha number one. So it just kind of, that's not my upset, but I'll pick the Clippers too. I just think they have everything. It always comes down to health with them. It's been like that for the last 6 years. It's always been health. If they're healthy, people are like, oh, this team looks like someone who can make it to the Western Finals. And when they're not, they're just not. And it's just kind of, I think people are kind of gun shy now with them. They're just like, we've seen this story before, and they've always been in this position, and then they get hurt. Well, if they stay healthy this year, they could not only just upset the Denver Nuggets, they could make some noise. So yeah, I'm with most people. I know the seeding is whatever, but I don't see that as upset if they beat them, and I would not be shocked if that happened. But I would push. I'm the same way with the Bucks. I've been on the Bucks bandwagon for a while, ever since Giannis won his championship. Like, I think how he won it against the Suns, I was just like, this is a premium player. And again, if just looking at his stats, he's 30, 12, and 6, and that's with Dame being down for the second half of the season. Just speaks to how good he truly is. And he's not a shooter. So all this is just mid-range and in. So it just speaks to, it'd be different if he's averaging 30 on a bunch of threes. But yeah, it's like he's honestly doing everything in the paint and in the mid-range. So, I'm of the belief that if the Bucks can somehow get past the Pacers, I think Dame is coming back in that second series. And I'm with people. I think that series could be super interesting because the one thing we love about the playoffs is we always ask the age-old question, who is the best player in the series? And Giannis, like, the thing about him is he might be the best player in the series in every series he plays in. So the thing is with that is like, and that's no disrespect to the Boston Celtics, but it's like Tatum is the closest. Like, I'm not going to fight you if you say Tatum's better than Giannis. I'm not going to fight you on it, but I'm not mad if someone wants to scream and be like, no, you're absolutely wrong, because Giannis, and maybe some of this gets, a lot of this doesn't come up if Tatum wins the Finals MVP last year. I just think it's about perception. Obviously, Tatum's a great player, and he's gotten better since last year, so it's not a discredit to him, but people are just going to look at you a certain type of way when your teammate wins Finals MVP and you didn't. So it's like, it kind of feels like it's split. It's like a 50-50. Nobody, like, most people would say it's Tatum's team, but it's like, you still got Jaylen Brown who's Finals MVP. So they're just going to default to Giannis.
One guy like Giannis,
he
performed at the peak of his
in the finals. Yeah, he did.
He got Tatum shooting 39%. Like, people saw that.
He didn't. And because Boston is still good this year, people just kind of forget how he played in the finals, but
Not me.
Jaylen Brown won
Finals MVP shareholder.
Yeah. He should have won it because he played the best. So, it will be interesting if they can somehow get past the Pacers. The Pacers, to me, I think the thing with them is they're just well balanced. They have Tyrese Halliburton, who's their star, and the rest of their team is kind of just, they have a lot of really good players. So it's going to be a knockdown, drag out. But I love Giannis. I think he can pull through, and if they get to that second round, that's again, it's the same thing what I was talking about with Steph Curry. It's just selfishly because I want to see Giannis in a position where he's playing the Cavs, and I want to see how the Cavs respond because It was the same thing I saw with OKC when they played LA. Like in that second game they played LA, they played their hearts out, and it's because they wanted to show LA like we're not scared of you. Yeah. But it's like this is why we talk about the NBA playoffs in the way we do. Sometimes it really doesn't matter what you do in that regular season. Like, are you built for the playoffs? And do you have guys? This is why in the NBA draft they talk about, red flags, why guys are still in the league, whatever. Are you a guy when you're down 5 and your team as a whole was down 2-1 in the series and you need to get buckets? Do you have enough guys that can do that? The team basketball stuff is great, but do you have a Pantheon great on your team or a guy who's trending towards being a Pantheon great? And can that Pantheon great, like I said, Jokic is such an outlier because he's proven he's a different type of guy. I can't really use him because he's not a guy who's creating his shot. But he affects so much, and he's so great in terms of how he distributes to his other teammates that he's kind of a different skill. But mainly, for the most part, do you have guys who can get their own shot and get to the basket, draw fouls like Jimmy Butler, Giannis, all those guys do, LeBron, Luka, and can they make big-time shots? Dame, whoever, name them, Tatum, Brown. So to me, it's like it's going to be interesting. Like selfishly, I'm hoping the Bucks get to the next round. I'm hoping Steph Curry and them get to the next round because we're going to see these OKCs, these Celtics on Cavs, they won it last year. They finally proved it. But these OKCs and Cavs, like, let's go, Donovan. Like, let's go. Like, if you get the Pacers, I don't care because it's the Pacers. I'm not going to care if the Cavs beat the Pacers. Who cares? Because it's like, you're supposed to beat the Pacers. But if you go against Giannis, might be a little different. Same thing in the West. It's like OKC is like, no one cares what you do against the Kings or whoever is going to be playing in that spot. Like, what will you do against the Lakers? What are you going to do against Kawhi, whoever you get matched up with? So that's what I'm interested with. So with a lot of these predictions, for me, honestly, I'm hoping that Giannis gets to the next round. I'm hoping that over in the Western Conference that – because I also will say about Golden State, presuming we think they win, I don't think that series is going to be easy. I will pick them, but, like, we also got to remember it is Ime Udoka. And Ime Udoka is a hell of a coach. He's going to have a game plan for Steph and them. Oh. And if the 3-point game, that's an anomaly. Like, Steph's not going to average 3. But I think he will make life hell for Steph. So that's going to put even more pressure on Jimmy. Like, we're going to need you. Because if Jimmy ain't going to get it going, we're not going to depend on Draymond or...
Yeah, if Jimmy don't get it going, it's over.
Kuminga's not playing. I have no idea why Kuminga was DNP'd. He just needs to be in the offseason traded for some compensation of draft picks or something. Because that relationship with him and Kerr is just not right. I don't understand it. I think I don't know if he was injured or what was going on, but like he could have definitely maybe been a factor of why they are not in the play-in, but I digress on that. But, I think out of all the ones, like obviously it's the Bucks I'm picking, but I think Houston and Golden State could be a series. Because you also, like, to me, Zhu hates these guys, but the guys who are 6 foot, and they look overweight. Like, of course, those are not his type of point guards, but Van Vliet is going to be critical for, like, just calming him down. Like, he's not going to be the reason why they would win this series, but he's going to be a critical factor in them keeping up in that series. So, you got multiple bodies that you could throw at Steph and Jimmy and all that type of stuff. So, I know we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but, for me, I'm rooting for the Bucks. I think Giannis could, at least carry them to a Game 6 win in Milwaukee. But outside of that, first round is, typically going to be the higher seeds winning. But in the Western Conference, we don't know. Like I said, I think it wouldn't be a shock if the, seeds underneath get them to 6 and 7 games. Like, I honestly don't think there's going to be a sweep. Like, I don't think the only sweep could be the 1 seed with OKC and whoever they play. Outside of that, I don't think there's a sweep in any of the other series. I think there's going to be at least a lot of 4-2s. I'll say that. I don't think there's going to be many sweeps.
Well, if the Bulls play the Cavs, Sean, I can firmly tell you it's going to be a sweep.
I think I could get a game off the Cavs, man.
Yeah, Giddy, man.
Game 3.
Giddy got the magic right now. Giddy got the magic.
Yeah, and the Cavs are hungry.
If they pull a 2017 Bulls again and force and go 2-2 against the number 1 seed like they did with Rondo against the Celtics, that is all I need to see. They could lose the series, but if you're fighting in a series, that's huge. Yeah. To Zoo's point way earlier in the podcast about growth and experience.
Yeah, because like I said, when you look at the teams that did make the playoffs, like how mad are the Washington? like what? Who is it? Washington, Utah, and I can't remember who the third team is. It's like in the lottery.
Is it Charlotte?
Like Washington winning that game, it might be Charlotte, but winning that game winner kind of knocked them down to number 2. And I know they all have the
game winner. Yep.
Yeah. And I know they all have the same amount of percentage, but it's just like now that the Jazz are number 1, it's just like you kind of know where that's gonna go. So you kind of feel bad because on one hand,
Utah, man, please don't do that to Cooper.
He's going to probably Utah. But the thing is, it's like on one hand, if you're Washington, it's like you're disappointed, but it's like on the other hand, to your point, like the guy that made the game-winning shot was one of your rookies, so it's like he's getting valuable experience in crunch time moments. So, a lot of this with the NBA season is like once it gets past the All-Star break, you're kind of in the are we tanking or are we trying to make the play-in? And depending on who you are as a franchise, you know, and the draft prospects, obviously, because I mean it is Cooper this year, so it's the reason why you should tank. But it just gets interesting. And to Zhu's point, at the end of the season, these last 5 to 10 games, just throw it out the window. It's a bunch of guys doing a bunch of stuff. We don't know who's doing whatever. So we'll see. We'll see how this play-in happens, and we'll see how this first round of playoffs starts. So I think a lot of that starts this weekend. So guys, tune in. Make sure you're watching us on Instagram, Tyson Talks _ with our YouTube, Quantro Knows, 5-star review so we can get an algorithm. Same thing on our audio mediums. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, give us a thumbs up, 5 stars so we can get in those algorithms as well. And for me, Zhu, and P-Bush, we are